Good evening and welcome back to the We Are Rise show on this Holy Friday. It's Good Friday. Oh, happy day to all you Christians out there and everybody celebrating Easter. God bless. We're going to try and keep it PG tonight. I know I went off the handle on Wednesday. I'm angry. I'm frustrated on a lot of ways. But it is Easter weekend, the holiest weekend or week of Christianity in general, understanding that. And we have to make sure that we comport to those type of tenets. And we cannot go off on a tangent and expect that what we get in return is equivalent. It's ambivalent, but it's not equivalent. And I think tonight we're going to cover some of that. Tonight's show, no one gets a lifetime contract. The Pam Bondi saga and more. Yeah, we're going to cover the theatrical masterpiece. I'm going to break it down in a different manner for you. Wrestling with uncomfortable truths. That's part of it. We're going to go into many uncomfortable truths, and then we're going to get into what's taking place in Iran. Apparently, planes are being shot down. You got missing people all over the place. A warthog went into the river, into the sea. So we don't know what's going on. President Trump is dialed in. He's not going home to Mar-a-Lago. Something is afoot. We don't know what's happening. Let's welcome my host, Marshall Smith. What's going on? What do you see? What's happening? Are you concerned? Are you excited? How do you feel about what's taking place? Is the media just highlighting all these things? Or are we just seeing certain things burn out? Like, we're seeing what war is about. I mean, the idea that we're finding out that planes are being shot down and other things, I mean, it was inevitable after a month, right? Wouldn't you think?
Well, they found out today that they're using infrared, not radar,
Mhm.
to shoot down our planes. So
Okay.
I think once they get dialed in on that, that they can resolve that problem.
So they
But
didn't know that we had infrared. That's what you're trying to
they
tell me.
no, they we didn't. Well, we may have known. I don't know. They
Right.
are using infrared,
Okay. So they're using
which is the
infrared.
heat.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm sure we probably already knew that, but
Right.
maybe they didn't know they were using it right now. Who knows? But nobody in the planes apparently has died, and they've been recovered.
Right. The
Now, the last
warthog that went
thing
into the ocean
they
and I
haven't
guess the Gulf.
I haven't seen
Yeah.
anybody
I got
found or
stuff right
whatever
now,
yet.
but it went into the ocean. No one died. They picked up uh in the ocean. It went, they were recovered in the Gulf. And now we got another missing person that they're looking for. You had uh a Black Hawk helicopter shot at. So, things are getting more fiery, more testy. And, to think that, Iran has decided or their leadership has put out, they're like, yeah, we're not going to go to Islamabad. We're not going to go to this peace conference and stuff. And what happens? So they're hitting them hard into Iran. I mean, do we want to level the place? We don't want to. Are we going to have to? I would hope not. I mean, what about for the people that's going to be like, remaining left? That's going to be a lot of Barney rubble, so to speak, to pick back up from the Flintstones. I mean, you don't want it to turn it into the Flintstones, but it looks like whoever we're dealing with, whatever we're dealing with, we just don't know. We don't know, and I find it just really, I find it very intolerable, disgusting in some way. I think we know less about what's happening in Iran, less about what's happening in. I mean, is the war still going on in Ukraine? Because I haven't seen anything. I don't know anything. I know hundreds of billions. That's what I'm saying. Are these things real? Yes, to a degree. Are they projected in such a manner that you could process it, you could feel it, taste it, touch it? Yeah, but it's just like, yeah, the peace meetings were canceled, Trusty Turnip. Welcome in. We're going to say hello, everybody there on pill.net. We're going to get to a lot of stuff. What's up, Wood USA? Thank you for the 217 gold pills. Let's effing go. Sausage Launcher, good evening on this happy, holy day. I hope everybody has a good Friday. Thank you, Theo, for the 1,700 gold pills. Sausage Launcher, Trusty Turnip. Who else is here? Yeah, everybody's walking in. I know that, it might be a light show because a lot of people are celebrating this holiday weekend, as you should with your families. Always, we are on YouTube, so if you were there on YouTube, just subscribe and share. That would be fine. It is a call in. I dropped all the links that you can call in if you want commentary about stuff. What's up, Pork Chop Billy, Tracer C4, and my friend True Terran. Greetings to all and salutations. Happy Good Friday and happy Easter, everybody out there that celebrates the holiday in some way. Let's cue to this right now because these are the things that just popped up the last couple of hours. So the problem doing a show late, I have to scroll through to make sure that I'm getting up-to-date stuff that I want to cover at this hour. President Trump is not leaving for Mar-a-Lago. He's staying there. He's going to do the Easter egg hunt, I guess, on Sunday or Monday. So you can understand why he's not going. There's a war going on or some type of conflict, whatever you want to use the nomenclature or all this rhetoric to describe this in some way. But the Iran war live, U.S. Special Forces enter Iran to rescue jet pilots as choppers are hit. U.S. Special Forces have entered Iran to rescue crew members down F-15 fighter jet, which crashed over the south of the country. Iran shot down the aircraft over its airspace, making the first fighter jet destroyed by enemy fire since the war began. That's a pretty amazing thing. This has been going on for almost a month or at a month. 2 crew members reportedly ejected, one of whom was rescued by 2 U.S. military helicopters and low-flying refueling aircraft, which were also targeted by Iran. Both of them were hit, and one of them was seen with smoke pouring out of it that flew back to Iraqi territory where it landed safely. One of the 2 U.S. pilots in the fighter jet that went down has been rescued alive by U.S. forces. 2 U.S. officials told NBC News the pilot is now undergoing medical treatment. 2 U.S. officials confirming at Newsmax a rescue operation is still ongoing for the second pilot that is out there. All right, so what are we seeing right now? We're understanding that there's a variety of events that are happening. They're not in a desperate attempt to recover them, but they're sending Black Hawks in there that are going to be shot at in some way. They were hit. We don't know what the fallout of that is. We don't know where this is going in some way. And President Trump has warned if anything happens to that pilot in any way, Tehran will be blown up. I mean, he basically put that out there. He's basically saying that you'll see a hell rain of fire that you've never seen before. And you know what? Yeah. See, that's the president you want. That's the president you want. Because if you capture him, torture him, and do anything to him, forget about Israel nuking you. We will lay down so much, there'll be nothing left for you to fucking walk out from. I think that's a good thing, and I got to watch my language because it's Holy Friday, so I apologize for that. So welcome to my co-host, Marshall Smith. What's your thoughts about that? I mean, that's the update about stuff. I mean, it's not tonight's show, because tonight's show we're going to really get into a sideshow of craziness. I think that people are apoplectic about, and they can't like rescue themselves from Pam Bondi being fired. But I digress. Your thoughts right now?
Well, I think Trump is. Well, first I'll have to be a little critical. He has said this before about going scorched earth with these people, and now he's saying again that don't look good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, quit talking, sit back, get yourself together, and then make a move. You've already told him what you're going to do before. I would stay away from him. I would recommend personally not saying anything more about what he's going to do, mm-hmm. and just do whatever you got to do. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sauce and cilantro. I covered it on Wednesday about Matt Gaetz's. We'll get into some of that. I have other stuff with Tim Burchett and other things, but and you know, that will be wrestling with uncomfortable truths, and that's one of them. But I did cover it towards the end of the show, and you can go back and watch it. I wasn't going to bring back some of the stuff that I did rush through because of President Trump speaking. But this comes from the American Spectator. 5 quick things by Pam. May you have better success in the private sector. I want to put a couple of things in place, but let me read this real quickly, the Bondi bounce. I'm not going to read all of it. It's a very long thing, and I'm just going to cover the 5 points that it discusses and how it's reflexive to her departure. And I thought this was a good overview, and I don't have to go through yesterday and reimagining and reprocessing how all this is. I have other things that I really want to get into. It's being styled as a move to the private sector. Yes, it is. As President Trump effusive in his praise for Pam Bondi as his Attorney General, he's basically, great American patriot. But she's nevertheless getting packed off. Todd Blanche, Bondi's deputy AG, is taking over. That's obvious over the next month. And will be working tirelessly to the transition. Okay, what does a transition mean? And we'll get to that. All right, of the Office of Attorney General to amazing Todd Blanche before moving to an important private sector role that I'm thrilled about. What is that? A U.S. attorney? What role do you think she's going to be filling? You are left to determine what that is, and I guarantee you it's going to be a positive role. President doesn't move someone like this who's a loyalist, calls it a great American patriot, out of here, all right, for some whatever you think it is. There's a lot more about this than you have no idea about. Where I will continue fighting for President Trump in this administration, leading President Trump's historic and highly successful efforts to make America safer and more secure has been my honor of a lifetime and easily the most consequential first year of the departure of justice in American history. Since February 2025, we've secured the lowest murder rate in 125 years, secured the first ever terrorism convictions against members of Antifa. That is true. Shattered domestic transnational gangs across the country. That is true. Taken custody of 90 key cartel figures. That is true. And won 24 favorable rulings at the Supreme Court. That is absolutely true. I remain eternally grateful for the trust the president has and placed in me to make America safe again. Let me stop there before I go on to this diatribe because I'm going to go through it. Let me just say this. We're going to get Marshall's talking points. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Comments, questions, or concerns. I dropped the actual link. I will drop it again if you want to come on, give us a diatribe. Your thought process. It is a call-in show. We had Blue Viking last week. I expect someone to call in. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. If you want to help out Marshall, Ko-Fi, was it Ko-Fi.com/SurfDog74. I got so much in my mind. But look, you have to understand with Bondi, what was her appropriate role? What was her assigned role? She was assigned a part to the hilt for house cleaning. Housekeeping. That's what she was doing. Do you understand that? And everybody's like clapping like seals. She's gone. She did nothing. Let me continue. Mass firings at the DOJ. And mass exodus of career prosecutors, deep state politicians tied to January 6th, the Trump-Russia hoax. Don't forget that, the collusion with that. And Mar-a-Lago raid. Don't forget that. To purge and hollow out the DOJ that was full of deep state vipers. But we're all clapping. It's all good. A 14th-month run, Marshall, as an AG, hits perfectly as a time curtain call. The curtain call for her. The great American patriot, as President Trump says. He sent her off stage to the private sector. Again, no one gets a lifetime contract. The marionette, the puppet master, the handler of all this. And we're going to go through what President Trump is. Let me say this. This is all President Trump. He controls it. He's all behind the scenes. Her deconstruction of the DOJ, just like what's going on in the FBI, that Polymarket is a left-wing rag saying the 10-year tenure of Patel is coming to an end. Show me the sauce. Where's the gravy? It ain't there. But I continue. I digress. Roles are to be understood as understudies, swings, and standbys. What do I mean about that? I'm talking about theater. For one night only, and for a bigger role, on a metaphorical stage, whatever mask, moment demands, it's always temporary. Are we stuck in a script that is revolving? Can we improvise? Can we step off stage, Marshall? Like Bondi, like Kristi Noem, who I think they were setting up to blackmail her. When the role no longer serves the truth that we're rising into, where is it going? let me continue. But let me get my thoughts from my co-host first.
Well,
what is your
I think,
opinion about that?
yeah, I think that she was there for everything that you just mentioned
Mm-hmm.
to clean house. I also think that she knew, and Trump let her know, that you were going to kind of be a bad guy. You're going to be a bad cop for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning you're going to block, quote unquote, the Epstein list. You're going to block these
Bingo!
people from getting
Bingo!
arrested until we are ready and the time is right to start making the arrest.
Yep.
So obviously, I think now somebody mentioned it. Somebody mentioned in the chat, and I agree with this too, is that second job that you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
that private sector would probably be a U.S. attorney in Florida, AG in Florida, for the federal attorney general.
Exactly.
So, and then she can go back, and all those people that thought they were covered by her, she will now be prosecuted or hearing, whatever.
Right. The illusion of indispensable players, ladies and gentlemen. How real freedom looks like without getting pulled into the drama. President Trump is a stage manager, a director, a playwright, an auteur, an impresario, a producer, a regisseur. The idea, in some way, this is about the revolving cast, the entire revolving cast in Washington, in corporate America, or any ever power structure that pretends the roles are permanent, are what? Fooling you. The rotation itself is about what? Stop auditioning or pretending that roles were meant to last. That was the idea. The idea of what Doge was is to completely gut out Department of Education and many other garbage entities in the State Department and every entity would have you, where the permanent power structure of the SES class would remain there fixed, unchanging, and unwilling. The shift change, the adjustment, the conversion theory that is happening at this moment is right before your eyes. The idea that she was begging, pleading like a dog, private behind the curtain, moment, exit stage right, an actor that tries to rewrite her lines. It's built into the narrative. It's perfectly scripted. The poise, the loyalty, the melodrama, the desperation, not weak, but effectuates what? The humanity of the situation. Unhappy, pleaded for mercy, more time, and tried to change her mind. All this stuff is a theatrical masterpiece. It is glorious. It is at its highest apex. If you're not seeing it, you're not processing it in this manner, I can no longer help you. And you might as well just not watch the show, because if you think I'm fooling myself or I'm fooling you, well, then you know what? We're going to have some words, because the reality is that's what I'm telling. That's what you're seeing. And neither Blanche, who is the deputy AG, will get the same amount of role favoritism as Bondi. The new script, new audience. The role is temporary by design, and perfectly timed exits are happening as we speak. And I'll leave it at that. Marshall, your thoughts? Chime in. I got more to go.
I don't like Blanche or Blount, whatever his name is, because he's a Democrat. I don't trust him.
Okay. That's fine.
That's fine, because he's probably just there as a place marker anyway. So
yeah,
that's that.
He's a holder. He's there. I mean, look, we're going to get to the amount of people that we're going to pick and choose, and you can go through that. What I'm saying right now is that, actors are acting. He's acting. This is a guy that went to bat for President Trump in 4 court cases. He worked as a prosecutor for the SDNY from 2006, I think, to 9, 10, 12, something like that, 19. He was there at the SDNY. So he knows a lot of stuff that's in there. Now, Bondi's role, as I'm suggesting, has cleaned out a lot of the DOJ. So his job will be a lot more easier moving forward. The question is, what's the next phase under this acting role that he'll play? People who use the term Scaramucci role. Whatever, that's fine. I don't care, because that goes over people's heads. That's all about Q and all this other stuff. So I'm not going to play into that. What I'm going to say is he is there to fill a role for a time being. And as an acting director, he'll have a period of time to go forward with this until another replacement, another actor, another swing shift comes in, another understudy, a standby. That is going to be possible. All of which is fine, and certainly signals the Justice Department is in better hands with Bondi than it was under the previous administration. I don't know why anybody can't see that. Think about what we had with Merrick Garland. But Trump supporters fell out of love with Bondi early for the backlash against Democrat abuses. There haven't been cases brought up against people like Jake Sullivan and John Brennan. Well, John Brennan's case is going on right now over the Trump-Russia scam and fairly egregious abuses of power and the law and DOJ's handling the Epstein files. Something which is intentionally Democratic scandal. Somehow followed it to be weaponized against President Trump. That's a firing offense in its own right. But then on Thursday, the news of her ouster broke, and this is what it was. Pam Bondi was fired because of she believes she tipped off Eric Swalwell about the Daily Mail. That is completely not true. I'm not going to play it. It's not true, and I'm going to show you why. Sure hope it isn't true. It's not true. Was it Act Blue? I don't think it's Bondi's end or anything to do with the fact that nobody from Act Blue has been indicted, and for what's clear and obvious about the Democrats fundraising a platform that has been means of laundering foreign money. That is under a separate thing. I would go back to his executive order 2018-13848, and that falls outside of the processes of the current AG or the incoming AG. I think that is more about a foreign relation scenario, a military operation that must be dealt with as a sidebar. See, Pam Bondi was there to facilitate the cleaning house, just like Kash Patel, okay, in so many ways. And so they were there to reset, retool the FBI, the Justice Department in a lot of ways. And then they move on to other facets. Will Kash Patel file that way? I don't know. He gets a 10-year tenure. But, as President Trump likes to use people in a temporary role, remember, Bondi served 14 months. Kash Patel served less than that. So I have a feeling right now, Kash might be safe at the moment, but it doesn't mean that he'll be there before the end of the term is up. And I'm not really sure it is or is not. We just don't know. All right. And this also goes back to the Charlie Kirk scenario. And I also have to believe they're going to wait to find out what happens with that in some way. And so we don't know where the skullduggery lies with the FBI in this comparison. But let's move that aside. Initially, what was obvious, what people supposed, was to donate it to Act Blue. We're not actually donating to Act Blue. That's what James O'Keefe uncovered. My site, The Hayride, we did it a shallow dive into Act Blue. Donations from zip codes in Louisiana where it was implausible to see large amounts of money being spent. And so the laundering of money was going on. I'm not going to continue. Steve Guest, but Act Blue reportedly lied to Congress about vetting foreign donations. So basically, Act Blue is supporting candidates from foreign donations all over the place, and that's to the Democrats. So every amount of money that's coming in from foreign ventures, those people, all right, that are collecting that money and using that money will be caught up in this. And I believe that is part of the Foreign Interference Election Act, and they also will be brought down by that because you're taking money is coming in illegally from foreign actors, then you could be tried as what? A subversive, a seditious, treasonous motherfucker. Can we talk about stupidity of Europe? I'm going to blow through these things because some of this stuff here is not necessarily tied, but they want to lay the case that it is because of her. All right. So per yesterday column and clear indications that Trump administration is going to dissolve either de facto or de jure of entanglement of NATO, the opinions were all over the place, mostly centered around Trump and his behavior. But what your opinions, they're active players in this drama, and they should not go in for examinations. After all, regardless of your opinion of President Trump, the fact remains he's the American president. He's been quite consistent in his opinion on NATO and his current value. It was clear to anyone with a functional, tactical, or strategic mind that keeping Trump happy with the alliance would require more than a case of Joe Biden. If not, the Munich Security Conference speeches by J.D. Vance last year and Marco Rubio this year were fairly unmistakable expressions of American concern. And we're seeing U.S. forces being denied basing and flyover rights as part of an effort to subdue the country that has been built, that has built missiles capable of hitting more or less every major city in Europe and has spent a half century promoting terrorism with Europe as one of their main bloody playgrounds. Let me move forward because they're jumping ship about how they see it. They're trying to tie her in there. And when they check, and when the check did not come in, it turned out that the base used flyover rights and invitation to participate in the opening straight of Hormuz. So what they're trying to say here is, in some way, is that the idea that, as John Kasich is putting out, and he's a trader, is that we're going to not just utilize Article 13 in many other facets, is that the Justice Department was working with President Trump to find every legal possible way to maneuver outside of NATO. And to what? To make sure we can force them into a submission that they will automatically want to pull out from, not the other way around. And so they're trying to hang this on Bondi. Let me continue, but he doesn't expressly say it. We'll find out if the Supreme Court or China. The issue deserves a full column, several of which can find elsewhere at the American Spectator. But one of the key questions Solicitor General John Sauer was asked at the Supreme Court not too recently during oral arguments on the birthright citizenship case at the court on Wednesday was changed. During the course, the court questioned Sauer and the exchange bounced around, focusing on things like the Constitution's framers intended on some issues, what authors of the 14th Amendment were thinking, 1868, what lawmakers were thinking, 1940 and 52, and what previous Supreme Court justices were thinking. Keep in mind, Sauer and the Trump administration had taken on a daunting task of trying dramatically to redefine common interpretation of birthright citizenship as addressed in the 14th Amendment. What he's trying to do here at this case is hang this on his loyal, and let's just say he's calling her unscrupulous in some way, saying she was the one that helped manifest this in some way. That is Pam Bondi. The clause says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to jurisdiction thereof as citizens of the United States. In other words, if you're born on U.S. soil by accident or intent, and with very few exceptions, you're an American citizen. Sauer raised the issue of Chinese birth tourism, which we're going to get to, which has now become a major thing. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of companies in China, and by companies in that country, we mean fronts for the Chinese Communist Party, which are facilitating travel by Chinese women to the United States. Let me move on. Only a moronic nation would allow the birth tourism going forward. Let me fast track this. The racist, anti-racist, angry lesbian, or at least angry lesbian adjacent fans of the National Women's Soccer League who turned out to be very good free enterprise. You likely heard of this story. It's going to drive up the wall. We're ending this 5Q with a flourish. A black Kansas City businessman has been forced to scrap his plans to open a nightclub after a local football fan club comprised mainly of liberal white women complained that the name was racist. I'll leave it at that. I think what they're trying to say is that there are many elements and examples, that they're suggesting that the Justice Department did not try not to resolve in some way. Their focus was on other things, their entanglements of not being a part of the current situation. And so what they're saying is, here it is. We're glad that she's gone. We don't understand why she was put there. We thought she was weak and feckless, and that she didn't have a role to play in this matter. And I will suggest in some way that that is not the case. That is completely not the case. She was set there for several reasons. Housekeeping. I'm telling you, that's what it was. She oversaw a massive amount of firings and a mass exodus of career prosecutors at the DOJ. That's important. Tied to a lot of different things, Marshall, that are connected to a lot of different things. Yes. Have the prosecutions gone well that we've seen on a prima facie level? No. But are they meant to work in that level, especially if they're in D.C. or Maryland or New York? Do they have to be outside of those jurisdictions to what? Somewhere in the middle west, in Midwest and in South, in Florida? What have you? What have you to say in this matter? Was she such a failure because she released as many documents as possibly that any Democrat would have basically snubbed their nose at and basically turned away from? President Trump has given her authority to release it, and yet it was still not good enough. They still were not repentant enough. They still basically said she's still hiding, and there's no prosecutions. They attacked her about all these other people who signed NDAs of the Epstein files, and I find it really disgusting in some way on how they continue to pay her as a rube.
Well, the proper term pronunciation is housekeeping. Housekeeping.
Yeah.
That's how they, it's a joke.
Yeah.
All right. As far as you just mentioned the Epstein thing. What I find interesting, Brett, is this. All of the people that were the Epstein binder, I call them the Epstein binder people. You know who they are.
Yeah.
DC and all those people.
Mm-hmm.
They are now, and this is who you got to look at, folks. That's why I'm bringing it up, is that they are now defending the NASA operation and the globe round Earth thing. And they're making fun of all the flat Earth typers that don't believe in that we went to the moon. And it's the same people.
Well, you don't have to be a flat earther to believe we didn't go to the moon.
Well, I know.
Do you understand that? So let's be clear about that. I'm not a flat earther, but I don't believe we went to the moon.
Not
in the way we think.
In their mind, they put those two things together.
Right.
And that's what the thing is that I find interesting is this same group of people are now doing completely different from what they did with the Epstein binder thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're defending this operation, which is this whole thing with this rocket is a complete NASA deal. Mm-hmm. That is not a SpaceX deal.
No.
That whole thing.
No, it's not.
I mean, I find it interesting. I know it's not totally about this subject.
Well, we'll cover it. I want to move on from it. I want to stick with what's germane here, which is the Pam Bondi thing. Let me continue because you're going off subject here. Here we go. Truth comes out. Bondi did not alert Swarwell, fog of war. Yes, there are many other things that they're trying to blame her for, throwing her on the bus because, again, they don't understand her fate. They don't understand her consequences. They think in some way what you're really seeing is that President Trump lost complete faith in her and it just fired her willy-nilly and said, you know what, I love you to death, but you didn't do the job. No. If you don't watch this show, you don't watch other shows, if you don't understand President Trump and the team that's behind him, all the stuff is happening behind the scenes. All this stuff is what? Prima facie. It's right before your eyes. It's not made for you to see certain things happen right before you. It could never happen in that fashion because look at how we arrest people in Minnesota and they freak out. So there's a lot of stuff that is sidebar issues behind the scenes. And I think that what Bondi did at the AG is what Kash Patel has done at the FBI to some facet, to some level, and will continue to do to weed out fire and make sure that some of the deep state rot that just hangs around like mold and mildew is trimmed off the walls and exorcised out like demons in some way. So you have to think about decades upon decades of this stuff. So as much as you're happy and you're saluting and clapping like seals and you think this is a wonderful thing that just took place and Bondi, well, wait till she moves into a next role that you find out later on that she's going to be doing something as a U.S. attorney or something else, prosecuting the same people that we're bitching and moaning about that weren't getting prosecuted in the same manner in prima facie, but behind the scenes and many other different aspects. You have to be clear-eyed about that. You can't sit there and pick and choose. All right. I understand your frustration behind the scene, but has anybody released more documents about the Epstein, whatever Epstein was in the last 3 administrations? That's Biden. That's Obama. That's Bush. Outside of Trump, who has done that? I didn't see anything from Bill Clinton. No one even knew who he was until 2000, 2001. So while we're sit here and like we're clapping like seals, you're freaking holy hell out. And I'm just like, I think people still don't get it. And people are lost. Truth comes out. Bondi did not alert Swarwell, fog of law. Let's listen to this.
Pam Bondi too, but she didn't give Swalwell a heads up on the Fang files, did she?
I would not believe that for a second.
It was the FBI.
Positively not.
Okay. Pam Bondi too, but she didn't give Swalwell a heads up on the Fang files, did she?
I would not believe that for a second.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's what he's saying. So you go through here, Pam Bondi, great American patriot. We love Pam Bondi. She'll be transitioning. She'll be moving into another position. What that job is in the private sector to be announced at a date near future. I think that's pretty big. I don't know why people are making such of like hubbub about her departure, thinking it's a good thing. She's done a lot, and I think that there'll be a redress very soon about why she was gone, what is her next phase in some way. But you'll only know that, okay, as we move forward. You'll only know what she's accomplished and what she has done to help reset the Justice Department. Now, Todd Blanche is just there as an acting, whatever, a subordinate in some way to what? To continue on whatever prima facie they're doing. And you know what? Doesn't matter. Everything is happening behind the scenes. So I would just stop and wait and just think about what we're going to see later on. Thank God Pam Bondi's gone. See, CNN data guru reveals why Trump said bye-bye. See, they're actually putting out narratives and talking points that is not true. This is the agitprop of what the media suggests they know and don't know.
All right, this morning, Attorney General Pam Bondi on her way involuntarily to the private sector. So what do the numbers tell us about what went wrong for her? CNN chief data analyst Harry Eden is here. Good morning to you, sir. How popular was Pam Bondi, before yesterday, before she got fired?
Yeah, the American people are saying, thank God Pam Bondi is gone. She wore on them like an in-law who stayed too late past Christmas vacation. I mean, just take a look here. Net popularity of Pam Bondi. In January 2025, you know what? She was actually on the positive side of the ledger. Look at this, at +1 points. But look at this. Down she goes. The more people got to know Pam Bondi, the less they liked her. Her net popularity rating by the end, -19 points, a 20-point shift.
Who hated her? The anti-Israel crowd? All the people that were pushing, we need more documents. The binder people, everybody that hated Pam Bondi were the people that what? The binder people, they didn't get enough information. They wrecked on her. All the anti-Israel people, not the pro-Israel people, the anti-Israel people. But who else? Who else? All the Democrats and independents.
Other influencers.
Other influencers that had an agenda to take her down because of her loyalty to President Trump. I don't think people understand what it means to be Attorney General and to have the back of the president in some way, especially in a time where we're going and where we are right now. And I think that President Trump making it clear, a loyalist, great American patriot, this was a transition that was long overdue or was planned at the exact moment to happen during a curtain call. And I think a lot of people are just overlooking and saying, oh, yeah, she deserved to be fired. You don't have no idea why she moved from one position this way to another. You don't. You don't get it. But you want to expound that like this was the reason. Let's continue.
In the wrong direction. Of course, one of the key reasons being why was the Epstein case, which, of course, she was helping in charge of that particular in the Trump administration. And the American people, simply put, did not like Pam Bondi.
How does this compare to other people who've had the job?
Yeah, okay. So, President Trump sees this. He sees, oh, my God, she's wearing on my administration. And more than that, he might recall that there was actually a fairly popular attorney general at this point in administration. Look at this. Net popularities of attorneys general about this time in the presidency. Look, Joe Biden's Merrick Garland was actually on the plus side of ledger at +6 points. Look at this. Pam.
You see my point here? You
Imagine.
see how much propaganda this is? Think about this. This is a guy, Merrick Garland, who orchestrated a raid on Mar-a-Lago, which we know now there was no absolute tenet for him to do it. And it's coming out right now that FBI agents were in revolt. The Justice Department pushed this. And when Pam Bondi got in there, she removed all these people. She forced them out. And so CNN is showing you this agitprop to convey that Merrick Garland was doing his due diligence of making sure that President Trump pay for all these other things. And you know what? If you're buying this, if you're swallowing this, and there are people that are, well, then there's nothing I can say to help you. Let's continue.
Bondi far more unpopular here at -19 points at this point. So
we're the influencers. We're all the anti-Israel crowd. We're all those people talking about this. They're not. They're keeping their mouth shut. They don't care. They don't care.
Talking about Merrick Garland being more than 25 points more popular than the net popularity rating. And that's the reason why I had to put this former.
Did Merrick Garland release anything about Epstein? No. But Bondi did. Trump did. Why is she 19 points below? Why? Because you wanted arrest. You wanted big profile arrest. And since you didn't get it, you want to blame her. 3.5 million pages. There's more documents that are out there. But what is it that you want? Did Merrick Garland give you any of that information? Was there any transparency on the Biden administration with that? But again, you want to attack Pam Bondi. Do you see how crazy and lopsided this is? You got what you wanted, at least to a certain level of agree, but you didn't get anything, Merrick Garland. What did you get? A Mar-a-Lago raid where they were sifting through panties, all right, and going through Barron's room. Sick, twisted motherfuckers. Pedos, probably. What I'm saying is right now, tell me how this is equal. It's not. And they're using this again to propagandize you, to subjugate you into this illusion that Bondi, who gave you what you wanted, was still not good enough. And that they're saying Merrick Garland was better than Pam Bondi. Do you really believe that? Let's continue.
In parentheses right here, because Pam Bondi is bye-bye Bondi.
She's still serving for a little while longer. She's a fired, yet she has, the honor of getting to keep the job for a few more days until she loses her access to the building. You talked about Epstein. How does that issue rank, among others?
Yeah, how does it rank? The idea is, okay, we'll get rid of Pam Bondi, and maybe that would somehow make you more popular, Donald Trump, in the Epstein case. Look, the Epstein case is going to continue to be a big problem for Donald Trump.
So how is it possible Merrick Garland gets 6 points higher than her when she released all the stuff through the Transparency Act that President Trump signed off on? And then they're sitting here towing a line of fucking agitprop, so much fucking perception management, and saying, hey, look, Garland did this. What did Garland do? He went after January 6ers. All right? You forget about that? He was part of the Trump-Russia hoax. He was continuing going after anybody in the previous administration. He assigned Jack Smith as a U.S. attorney who had no viability under a special counselor scenario. Senate didn't authorize it, and the president didn't authorize it. And there's no official position. But yet he was allowed to act in that matter. And he gets 6 points higher. If you don't see the bullshit and you're willing to defend this because you hate Pam Bondi, you are completely lost in this. And I would suggest you don't follow me because I am completely disgusted with anybody not actualizing the realization of what you're seeing here.
Because just take a look here. Take a look at Trump's net approval rating, immigration, foreign policy, the economy, trade and tariffs, the Epstein case. Look at this. That is by far the worst.
How is it that he is minus 40 points? Where is Joe Biden, the auto pen president? Why is it he not getting a hit on that? Why isn't Merrick Garland getting a hit on this? It is completely ludicrous. And they're showing you this fucking propaganda, this deception management, this malinformation. They're trying to lopside this. I gotta move on. Let's continue.
Issue for Donald Trump of the major issues at negative 40 points. Negative 40 points. Worse than immigration, worse than foreign policy, worse than the economy, worse than trade and tariffs. So the bottom line is this. The Epstein case is not going away if you're Donald Trump, even if Pam Bondi is going away. The Epstein case is going to continue to weigh on the president of the...
Right, but Merrick Garland gets 6 points higher than her. Minus 40 points here. What did the Biden administration do about Epstein? Why did you have to wait for President Trump to unfurl this information out? And then when he did, what happens? You didn't like what he did. You don't like what Pam Bondi did. But yet, you want to throw her under the bus, Trump under the bus. But where were you the last 4 years? It is absolutely fucking ridiculous and ludicrous, Marshall.
Yeah, I tell you what. The numbers on that little board that he had behind him. Immigration, he was negative.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I know.
How could he be negative in immigration? We've stopped. I mean, I won't even go into it.
No, I know.
Then the other one was at the bottom. I forget what it said, but it was whatever it was. The Epstein thing. That was the other one at the bottom, the one at the top, the one at the bottom. The
Right.
Epstein thing was the other one, was below 19 or whatever the hell it was, negative. And like you said, what about all the people before Trump? They
Right.
didn't do anything at all. They didn't talk about it at all. And the one thing I like about what Trump did with Bondi,
You're going out and out. I can't hear you.
one thing I like about what Trump did with Bondi on this situation
Mhm.
is he created a scenario where she literally, they leaked out or whatever, that she begged to keep her job. She
I
begged.
know.
That was a nice addition. That was a nice little ad there,
Mhm.
little thing. So, no, all this shit is so.
Well, that's
Not-
why I was setting the stage with the theatrical masterpiece. I was giving you in the beginning all this stuff, all right, that what President Trump is doing as the puppeteer, puppet master, and what you're seeing is that everything is being orchestrated in such a manner. There's a reason why the Joe Biden administration didn't do anything. It wasn't a real administration. It was not there. They wanted to show you when you keep them in their Faraday cage and what they're allowed to do, not outside the box, but inside the box, what they will do to the American people. All right. They were cornered off from the outside, but they were allowed to control inside the United States to do whatever they want in some way to actuate and to, let's just put it this way, continue on with the narrative. But again, I say the illusion of indispensable players, how real freedom looks like without getting pulled into the drama. Well, I mean, that's clearly what we're seeing. And here we're going to go right now. The cover, I'm going to move fast. There's a long list of potential picks for Trump's next attorney general. And I would say I would hold off right now. Hold off. I would push it aside. It's irrelevant. Be careful about how you want to mix up your feelings about this in some way. The confirmation issue requiring only a simple majority could be easily troublesome, as Republicans hold 53 seats, Democrats 47. I'm thinking there might be a possibility that we'll wait till after what? After the election, if there's going to be an election. This means votes of retiring anti-Trump Senator Tom Tillis, persistent rhino Murkowski, critical swing vote Collins, who's up for re-election. I think President Trump put his hand on her and said, yeah, I'll support her, will likely be critical, though there is a potential crossover of votes like Fetterman. To better understand the field of play, potential nominees are divided into two categories: those who are Senate friendly and those who will likely draw a confirmation fight. Let's go through it. Todd Blanche, he's acting U.S. attorney. He's let the private practice to fight alongside Trump and others, raising some questions amongst the more spirited members of the Trump base. Yeah, they don't like him. I'll leave it at that. Lee Zeldin, we all know who he is, former congressman, New York. At EPA, Zeldin was implemented President Trump's agenda in a satisfactory manner. This has largely prevented the corporate media and congressional Democrats from acquiring usual political ammunition they attempted to use to sink other Trump nominees. So basically, he gets a pass. You got Ron DeSantis of Florida? No. Andrew Bailey, Attorney General of Missouri? I'm not sure about that. Eric Schmidt, I hear a lot from Missouri. He's the U.S. Senator. He's the other senator, the Josh Hawley of that. I think in some way it's possible. But again, do you want to pull out another U.S. Senator and go through the process of having a governor to put in somebody else there? Ashley Moody, the former Florida AG, who's in a special election, who won that and is now up for re-election come November for Marco Rubio's seat. I'm not sure about that one. I'd be very careful about that in some way. Mike Lee, U.S. Senator from Utah. Ted Cruz, no way. Matthew Whitaker, the former acting AG. That's possible because what's going on with NATO. He's definitely a NATO skeptic. So you could see him revisit this. And since he's already been approved, it's possible he could come in and fill a position after a time of acting. Jay Clayton, U.S. Attorney for Southern District of New York. I'm not sure about that. Jeff Jensen of U.S. Attorney of Eastern District, Missouri. Not sure about that. Woodard Jr., Associate Attorney General. D. John Sauer, Solicitor General of the United States. Let me tell you right now, if Sauer wins this case for the birthright citizenship, then he is the most likely nominee. But my point would be, why would you move him off the board and put him in as as a certain select role, which is a temporary role, as AG. And that's what the position is. Attorney General and many other facets are temporary. If you go back to the previous Trump administration, the AG is a temporary position role. It's not a 4-year role. It's a year, 14 months, or what have you. And if John Sauer wins this case, why would you remove him from probably the greatest position that you have as a Solicitor General? Well, then he would scare the bejesus out of people. And I digress. Let me move on. Your thoughts, Marshall, as we continue on with the craziness that has happened.
We'll just have to let it hash out. There's too many people in the field right now, and not enough people, including me, that know enough about all of them.
Right.
People keep putting these people up like 4.
It doesn't matter.
They keep putting up 4 people online, and I don't believe any of them. Piro, and 3 others.
Well, I like Piro, but Piro's got some background issues, and I don't think it's going to be Piro.
I'd like to see a man that has an attitude.
Well, yeah, I think if John Sauer wins this case, that's my money's on him. But again, I would be kind of completely just, off base and suggesting why would you remove him from one of his greatest positions, winning a great role. Although I like Sauer a lot, who's not been highly touted in some way. But if he does win this decision, he would definitely amplify. But the thing is, how does this work in this favor in some way? Again, keeping somebody, as people use a Scaramucci role, an acting position, and I think we're going back to that in some way, where you fill a time spot with a new understudy, a swing, a standby, and move in after a certain period of time with somebody else and make it reflexively back where you don't have to nominate somebody. You don't have to you just move people through. Elena Baba has been mentioned. She just divorced her husband in some way. As long as she has no entanglements, but just moving people through for 120 days, 130 days. I don't know what the acting rule is. It might be for that period of time, but and then Blanche can return to his role as deputy. I see that happening. I think right now things are in flux, things are moving, things are viable, and I would be careful about how we basically say, I don't think we're going to get to an attorney general that's going to be confirmed with this ongoing situation with DHS, the non-funding, and also the fact is you got an election coming up. They're not going to confirm her. They're not going to confirm him or her. So you might as well just move people around on the board and then fill in that role and see what happens.
Let me ask you a question real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, if this is the case, and we've got, what is it? So apparently we've got hundreds of sealed indictments. Mm-hmm. If those hundreds of
thousands of sealed indictments.
Well, that's I was going to go there, but if we've already got that, do we really need the AG to do anything at this point?
No, the AG is now what we're seeing right now. The AG filled a role. I believe that she was assigned apart for housekeeping, cleaning, mass firings, and overseeing a mass exodus of career prosecutors tied to January 6th, Trump-Russia hoax, and the Mar-a-Lago raid to purge and hollow out the DOJ. I'm absolutely... when I was thinking about this, writing this down, I believe that was already accomplished. Now, what takes its place and what follows through doesn't matter because everything else has been orchestrated in some way. So whatever President Trump wants to do and whenever we'll see, then we're going to start to see things open up a lot more. And this whole discussion about Epstein is a dead stick. Thank you, Trump One, for the cookie, and good to see you, Darlo. Give to the cookie. Did anyone think that maybe Pam wanted to go back to the private sector and Trump said, okay, I'll let you go, so I'll take the heat for you leaving? The mainstream media flips out like the crazies they are. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I'm not arguing that. The idea that she begged for her position, do you believe that? I mean, you have 5 mainstream media outlets, MSN, CNN, I think even Fox was in there saying that she begged. She got on her hands and begged. Can you believe that?
It was a nice touch.
I think it's perfectly theatrically masterpieced out. I'll leave it at that. Senor Polo gifted the can. Trump said Bondi is going to be going to the private sector to help him. Do you think she will run the RNC? You know what? I heard about that. That is an excellent point. I think that Pam Bondi's future is about to, let's just say, shoot up in a lot of ways that a lot of people don't think. All right. And I think that a lot of people will find out what she eventually did, that a lot of people tried to undercut her and take her down, like Sessions, like Barr. Thea gifted the cookie. Thank you so much. How you doing, Thea? Darla gifted the cookie. Gaslighting, bullshitty. Merrick Garland, absolutely. I mean, come on. No one thinks Merrick Garland was an up and honest broker as a DOJ. He was a corrupt criminal, and thank God that Mitch McConnell held him back from being appointed to what? The Supreme Court under Obama. Darla gifted the cookie. The left, it's just a clump of cells. Also, the left, pregnant, illegals, babies, and automatically American citizens. They're crazy. Well, they're all crazy. The question is, are they taking their meds? Curious Cat gifted the cookie. Good evening, Darla gifted the cookie. President Trump is making moves on the chessboard. Have faith in our president. I don't think people do. I think people are. The reason why they don't have, they're distracted with the war. They don't understand what's going on. And I think that a lot of people are completely just like, they're frustrated. They don't know where to get. And so what it is that you have one divertisement going on with another thing. So while this whole thing is taking place and the agitprop of the mainstream media is that, hey, look, we're losing the war. We're getting shot down. Now that's going to be played up. They're going to play up all this stuff to say that we're losing everything. We're losing troops. We're dying. They're covering this up. This is where it's going. Here's another fake news. And this is where everything is ratcheting up now. It's not just Kash Patel. It was her. All right. And what it was is that Tulsi Gabbard, she was going to get fired. Totally fake news. White House responds to report that President Trump is considering firing Tulsi Gabbard. Never going to happen. The White House refuted a report published by The Guardian at POTUS total confidence in DNI Gabbard, and any insinuation otherwise is totally fake news. The president assembled the most talented and impactful cabinet ever, and they have collectively delivered historic victories on behalf of the American people. I think in some way, once the bell tolled for the AG Pam Bondi, then they were like, oh, here it goes. You got Susie Wiles. She's leaving. You got Caroline Levitt. She's pregnant. When she goes on her time off, what's it for pregnancy? What's it called?
Pregnant again? Wasn't she already pregnant?
No, she's pregnant again. She's going to have her second child. So when she goes on her maternity leave, they're saying that she's not going to come back. Okay. I don't know that to be true. And then you got apparently Susan McMahon is being attacked of being a pill popper. Like the golfer. So you got so much stuff that's being intertwined here in some way, and there are needles out all over the place, and we have to find these needles, and we have to make sure we take these people out. Thank you, Thea, for the cookie.
Tiger Woods wasn't any better. I mean,
well,
I don't hear anybody. Well, anyway, go ahead.
I'll get to Tiger Woods. I mean, we'll cover it briefly.
I'll leave the poor guy alone.
I personally, the guy's got a drug
habit. Hooked on some bad stuff, man.
I mean, the guy's got an oxycodone, he's got a pill problem. Good. It's not an alcohol problem. He didn't crash his car. He's got pain all over the place. All right. And he's addicted to fucking painkillers. And you know what? Look what they did. Look what the industry did. And they're still prescribing him that. The doctors should be in jail for doing that. They should. And anybody forwarding him that, they should be in jail. And the guy needs help. And I will stand by him. He needs help. I do. I guess this whole thing is out. They canceled that.
Yeah, I had to take that oxycodone once, and I didn't like it at all. I was like, man, I don't like this shit.
No, I know. I've taken stuff that, the cough medicine that had some type of whatever. I've taken some stuff, but I think that the muscle relaxers are much more problematic because they make you drool and they make you uncomfortable. And if he's on that, because it does help, I avoid all that stuff. I avoid as many drugs as possible, especially prescription that are pharmaceutical that are negative and bad. I wish him the best. I hope he gets help. And anybody sitting there saying he's a piece of shit, he deserves all this stuff, you know what? Fuck you. I mean, the guy's addicted. The guy's got a problem. He needs to address it. The PGA, the way they're turning their back on him and attacking him, the way what's being discussed, the Secret Service won't allow the grandkids to go travel with him because he's dating, Junior's former wife. I mean, and he's calling President Trump. Yeah, he needs help. Yes, is he undercutting his viability as a great golfer? Yeah, but I digress. And you know what? It's not for me to say. So Janine Pirro asked to clean up dog feces. Judge Janine's Eric's roommate tells. So her name was put out there. So this writer, Lisa DePaula, who profiled Pirro for New York Times Magazine in '99, was later asked about writing a book about Robert Durst, then the suspected and now convicted murderer. In an interview, New York, DePaula revealed that she moved into Pirro's basement and worked on a project together. So right now you could start to see a lot of the embers of any big name that's out there to undercut the administration of moving them into this position. All right. So when she was getting her makeup done, DePaula said Janine Pirro would pad around the house wearing nothing but panties, high heels, and these little stickers that she put on her nipples, which DePaula found amusing. But her stay turned out to be less than comfortable experience. DePaula had to deal with mice in the basement. Oh, my God, that's problematic. A problem that was, according to DePaula, Pirro demanded that she keep herself since she was trying to sell the house. 7 guns stashed around, which DePaula recalls Pirro saying they were all loaded. Okay. Pirro barring her from touching the Fiji water in the pantry, saying it was for the guests only, and Pirro's obsession with keeping household expenses down. DePaula says Pirro was berated her for leaving the hallway light on in overnight. Worst of all, that DePaula started to feel like the help. There were numerous times that she says when Pirro asked her to clean up dog feces deposited by Pirro's enormous poodles. My dogs, when they poop, it's like sick, Pirro tells them. According to DePaula, there was also the time when she was invited to a wedding held at the house and told to clean the windows before the guests arrived. That was demeaning, DePaula says. I was dressed for the wedding, and then she hands me a big bottle of Windex and paper towels. You could start to see the perception management narrative shift forming, that anybody that is going to be, let's just say, targeted for a certain position as an AG, okay, because she's a U.S. attorney, will be attacked in this manner. And the undercutting of the AG is now going to form. You're starting to see this. I want people to understand why this scenario of an acting AG will continue on for a lot longer than you think, Marshall.
I mean, well, I give Pirro, whatever. I give her a lot of credit. You know, at her age, she's running around with pasties on and all that. I mean, look, you know, they get into this stuff. It's ridiculous. You know, what you do.
Well, she had this woman that they were writing a book together, live in her basement.
Yeah, well, I get that.
It's a little weird, right? I mean,
yeah, okay.
I mean, I guess it's another author trying to write a book in some way. I mean, honestly, I don't know if I would want to write a book with someone living in my basement. I mean, we don't have basements in Florida anyway, but I mean, it's just like kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of creep in some way, but it's not like anything that was untoward what she was saying, but she made her out to be like something a little bit more disgusting as a human, and had certain she could have exaggerated and made things worse, but she didn't. I mean, come on. I mean, if she's walking around with her bathing suit clothes, you know, panties and whatever, you know, what do women wear? Like, not bathrooms, but the see-through stuff, whatever. Maybe she's doing it in good fun. I don't know what it is. But again, I digress. I'm very uncomfortable about how we're moving into this next phase. And I would be careful is that the roles and positions that are going to be filled through understudies, standbys, and swings that are moving forward through this theatrical masterpiece is that you have to be on, let's just say, on point when we're discussing this metaphorical stage, because the stage is being set for something to line up. And Pam Bondi has now moved into her next exposition to what? To control something, to do something. So if you think she's gone away, you think that she just disappears in the ether. Yeah, she has. But I can guarantee you right now, she will reassess and you will hear back from her soon. So while this position means unreclaimed and acting, well, get ready to continue on with more of the hubbub about an acting another actor ready to settle in after a certain period of time, Marshall.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see who the next ones are because they've mentioned,
Yeah.
they
Well,
keep
we were going
mentioning,
through
like,
it, you know.
Patel and all that shit.
Right.
And we'll see. Who knows? I mean, I'm not neither here nor there with him. I think he's done all right, as far as I know. I know the FBI.
Well, is he cleaning out the FBI? I mean, from what we understand is that they're former FBI agents suing Kash Patel and Pam Bondi about certain scenarios that were happening. I mean, I don't know what's happening. I mean, Dan Bongino was forced to resign. That's all we know. We don't know about, and he's made to, walk around with this egg on his face. Let's be clear. He didn't resign on his own. He was forced to resign. Let's keep that simple. All right. So whatever you think about Dan Bongino, keep that in mind. Let's show you this. Justin, U.S. Marines conducting a simulated amphibious assault landing on the island of Diego Garcia. My question is, if you had ballistic missiles that were actually shot from Iran over to that area to reach that territory and stuff, why are we planning an assault landing operation there? Let's put this up here. Let me go to this right now, see if this comes up. Yeah, I'm not going to read all this stuff. Let's play this.
Amphibious assault landing that they exercised in Diego Garcia. That is exactly the kind of operation they might be ordered to do by President Trump if he decides to take one or more of the islands in the Strait of Hormuz. And one final point, Bill, we just got the general alert here that missiles have been launched from Iran towards Israel of a simulation.
So what do you think? I mean, so they're setting up the stage for the training operation. You know what I'm thinking is that this has already been done. A lot of this stuff has already been carried out, and we're just catching up with the actual the pace of the time frame in some way. Because, you hear about this now, that they're planning this, they're saying this in some way. What if it's already been done? And then we'll hear about what was the final fallout of the takedown of Karg Island and many other scenarios as a later staged fast forward operation, meaning it happened. It already happened, but we're just going to play catch up later on to find out what they're going to willing to tell us so they can splinter this in such a way. And also, do you believe the narrative in any way? Do you believe the narrative that people are saying that we lost more troops than we did, that we're losing the war, all these other different things? I mean, does anybody believe that in some way? See, the problem is that it's not just the fact is that we're fighting the fake news and all these fake influences in some ways, that all of them have the same attitude, second guessing what they don't know about, filling in the blanks, and then using their viability, their flexibility to pull this string and then make this thing worse than what it sounds. And then when you see planes go down in some way, oh my God, we're in another Vietnam, we're in another Iraq, we're going to lose 50, 100,000 people. It's over.
Yeah, Brett, I mean, not only could this have already been done, like even a long time ago, even to the last, sorry about that, the phone, even to his last term. Okay. This could have been done even without anything except a sit down and a talk and an agreement with these various countries. This is how it's going to go. And so no shot was ever even fired. Imagine that scenario.
Yeah.
I would think it's very possible that could have happened.
I think it's possible in some way that we're not really, retrospectively looking at this in a proper fashion. I think a lot of people are just basically trying to play catch up, and they're not really doing a good job of catching up because the media is all untoward about how they're saying. I dropped the other stream if you want to call into the show. So Pete Hegseth comes out and basically says no more military installations will be gun-free zones. I thought this was pretty big. I mean, maybe when we move this out, we'd start to think in some way that we'd have schools to be in that matter. Will they actually be operated and controlled under what? A legal authority of security people with guns. Military installations have been turned into gun-free zones. This is a good one.
Simple, yet bold idea. Our rights as citizens are not granted to us by government, but instead by God. 250 years ago, the Revolutionary War was fought to secure our God-given rights. The Second Amendment to our Constitution enshrines the right of all citizens to carry weapons to protect themselves, their families, and their fellow countrymen. The War Department's uniformed service members are trained at the highest and unwavering standards. These warfighters, entrusted with the safety of our nation, are no less entitled to exercise their God-given right to keep and bear arms than any other American.
So why is it that military officials that actually carry guns on the battlefield are not allowed to have their own personal firearm, okay, in their own personal possession, in the barracks, on the field during this time? It's almost like ludicrous to think that they can't carry, that they're only allowed to carry during battle. It's almost insane. It's almost upside down, batshit crazy. You're a member of the military. Why can't you have your own firearm on barracks? I understand the security protocols. I understand why. You have to carry military-grade whip equipment when you go on to the battlefield. When you size up, you're ready to go, you get called up, that's fine. But the idea that you can't be a licensed, controlled operator, an operator, that you can't have affordability and luxury when you're on a base to make sure that you're also, with all the attacks that happened previously and on local bases per se, that you got to rely on local military police or what have you. It's just crazy. It is absolutely crazy. You know, this whole thing, this interdiction of like controlling our officers not to protect themselves, but you can only protect yourself when it's necessarily and it's deemed on the battlefield, because we're putting you and sending you to war to die. I think it's absolutely disgusting. And I think the fact is that what he's saying right now is that you were setting people up to be targeted, and the past targeting events that were happening, these bases now will not be heavily locked down, that you will know that there will people will be armed and ready to go to repel borders in case of terrorist attacks. And I think it should not be military police only as the guiding light about that. You should have every operator on the base armed, because they're a threat. They're a threat. Their viability, their existence, them just being there is a threat, Marshall. I mean, it's just, I just think the idea that this whole scenario that was allowed for a very long time set up a lot of the stuff during the Obama days, where a lot of Marines or a lot of military infantry or people in general were killed on bases because you had incels, you had all these other people that were able to bring a gun in there while other people were not allowed to, and then shoot up these bases and stuff until they were brought down. I find it disgusting. I think if you're in the military, I mean, in some way, your rights should not be controlled in such a matter like you and I are. We're allowed to have a gun, period, at the end. You're given guns. You're given weapons to go to war. You're given highly classified weapons. You're given stuff that kills people at a great level. But you can't have your own pistol, your own firearm, your own sidearm as a personal weapon in your barracks to protect you from somebody trying to kill you or kill your team or your members. It is absolutely ludicrous that we're at this point. And thank God, a guy who's an actor, who's playing a role as Secretary of War, doing a fantastic job.
Well, and we would have never had Fort Hood if we had this.
Right.
We never had that.
Yeah, we're those fucking military police. They shot the guy, but they didn't kill him.
And then and the other thing that it gives you pause to is, if you're that worried about your own people that you hired carrying a firearm, maybe you're doing some bad screening. Maybe you should revisit how you're hiring these people.
I agree with that. That's a good point.
No more Islamists. Get these. What the fuck are you doing, man?
I agree.
I can't. And these people that you see on TikTok or whatever, I'm in the military and I hate Trump and I'm going to kill him. And What the hell is this shit?
Well, they should be fired automatically. If you go on there and they own you, you should be removed immediately, stripped of your rank, and court-martialed when you talk like that. You should. You should. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's how we should be. Because when you hear that stuff, you become now a threat to your unit, to the threat to your base, a threat in general. And people have to look at you as like, look, we take our orders from Commander-in-Chief, and you're making these abject, seditious, unqualified points of thought. I mean, you signed up, man. Suck it up. Toe the line. Keep your mouth shut. But if you're going to act like this, then you're going to have to do what you got to do in some way. Pete Hegseth says, aide reportedly spread false rumor they wore disguises to hit bars together. Listen to this stuff. This was not discussed in a very, let's just say, pragmatic way. Secretary of Defense, and I want to ask you, is this propaganda? Is this perception management? Is this agitprop? Who is lying here? So Secretary Pete Hegseth's chief of staff spread a rumor about himself and the secretary sneaking out of the Pentagon Ritz-Carlton in disguise to go out drinking together. According to a bizarre New York Post report, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, top aide Ricky Burrio, told colleagues last year that he and his boss donned disguises and went out drinking together. A juicy bit of gossip that's widely believed to be a lie. Think about that. Recklessly planning to sniff out leakers. Think about that. The Post has learned two sources that Burrio, 44, told them separately in early 2025 that he and Pete, 45, slipped out past the Secretary's security detail while he was staying at the Ritz-Carlton. Do you believe that? At the hotel at Pentagon City. Reported the Post, Stephen Nelson. There's no proof that the Great Escape actually happened. But the tale has reverberated within the administration and stoked continued frustration with Burrio's powerful role leading U.S. military policy. I'll stop it there. Was his intent, Ricky Burrio, to help find leakers? Or was it to undercut the Secretary of War's position at his post at the current time, knowing full well this whole thing was a fraud? Let me continue. It gets worse. Some believe Burrio was attempting to catch leakers. Do you buy that? While others believe he may have had a more nefarious motive. Bingo. This is Mediaite. Think about that. My first impression of it, he was trying to figure out if I was going to tell other people. But then I came out to find out a couple months later that he was running around telling people. One source told Nelson. Another source, he took Burrio's story seriously. Burrio, made the mention that Hegseth was staying at the Ritz, D.C. His house was ready, but then it was also once in Tennessee, and a hat and sunglasses or something to that effect basically is all you need to be able to sneak out. He's putting himself in a position to allow and allure people to come in and kill him by giving him where his position was. I would think about that as a security scenario. Amazing that nobody recognized him, the source said. Burrio said, yeah, hey, look, I'm just here to make sure he's protected and he doesn't get in any sort of trouble. And people don't recognize him. But yeah, we have to sneak out. I'm not going to continue this. What is your thought about this in some way? There's no verifiable proof about that. There's no discussion about this in some way. But if we are to continue on the actual abstract, that everybody here is part of an entire revolving cast in Washington, in corporate America, and in every power structure that President Trump has, let's just say, his hands on, the illusion of indispensable players, an auteur, an impresario, a producer, a regisseur in some way. I mean, is this in some way something highly magnificent that is being portrayed as something bigger? Or is this guy undercutting and throwing Secretary Pete Hegseth under the bus to make sure that this gets back to the administration or the Pentagon, and he is what? Cut like cheese. I mean, I'm just wondering where you perceive this in some way, because there's been no proof about this. There's secondary, tertiary opinions in some way, but I have to worry that this guy, whether he's a chief of staff or somebody who's on the lookout to watch his back, is actually stabbing him in the back.
Yeah, I mean, look, this sounds so much like, oh God, these other people that did these, where they crash out and they blame. It's just okay. It's just like Trump. What did
Mhm.
they do to Trump the last 10 years? What have they
Yep.
done?
Yeah.
Without anything. And you know what? Sadly, Brett, most of these people watch this shit on TV or on CNN, and they're like, yeah, 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 and none of
Yeah.
it's true.
I know.
So how do you? I mean,
How do you parse it out? How do you parse it out?
Elon Musk, I think, is buying one of these TV companies or something.
Yeah. Well, I think
what
that
I'm
he's going to
hearing.
buy CNN. That's what we're hearing, and I hope he does. I hope he scuttles it.
We've
and
got to
and
get.
I
truth.
hope Musk makes it MNN or something, Musk Media or something. I think in some way that if he does buy CNN and all these other things, and he scuttles it, and then either just smashes it into pieces, which he might do. That's what I'm hearing, or he turns it into something that is going to be big, beautiful, and glorious. I mean, you probably need more in the mainstream media narrative in some way, but if he just buys out all these things and just smashes them into pieces, you'll have less and less of the infiltration operating on a large basis. So the more and more you buy up and suck up and crash and smash it onto the rocks, the less likely all these other agitprop propagandist perception management teams will come out of the woodworks. They will just stay hidden as long as they can. Truth, Brett, infiltrators, birthright babies, maybe at We Arise. Yeah, I got more to go on this. I mean, there's so much more. Hogleg, what's up, man? Thank you. Hogleg71, thank you for the can, the cookie. Thank you, Theo, for the cookie. Trump won for the cookie. What's going on? Yeah, like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Comments, questions, concerns. If you want to help out Marshall, Ko-Fi.com/surfdog74. Help him out. You can help us out over here on Rumble with Rumble Rants or buymeacoffee.com/surfdog74. Go ahead, buddy. Because I got more, but I'm going to fast forward.
Rebuilding CN is the way to go. I think
so you believe wait. So you believe? Let me understand this. So you don't think about buying it up and then smashing it to pieces and breaking it down and deconstructing it into something else.
Something else, yes, but to completely getting rid of it, no.
Okay. I mean, so how about buying up a lot of the
I think it'd be funny if he just kept the CNN name. It would be hilarious. And make it into completely conservative.
How about MNN? Must
I'll
News
take
Media.
Anything. But I don't think he should just trash it and leave it and walk away.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't. I know it's coming. I know it's coming. I've been hearing about it. I've been reading about it. I'm waiting for it to happen. So let me move forward. Global Defense Corp Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. This is why he's under fire. U.S. Army Chief and other generals. He fired 12 generals, ladies and gentlemen. 12 generals for what? You can guess. I can tell you why he fired them, but you're not going to understand. From the previous administration and the fact they committed seditious and treasonous acts, he gave them the walking papers. This is why he's under duress. This is why they're coming after him. Pete Hegseth fires 2 more generals, David Bondi and William Green, alongside Army Chief of Staff Randy George. Let me blow this up. I think it's a little too small for my print either. Okay. And the Chief Defense Department spokesman, Sean Parnell, confirmed George's departure in the statement on Thursday on X, saying George and the Army tops officer would be retiring from this position. So what we're hearing right now, there are 12 people that have been fired. And what we're hearing is that there are seditious acts that were taking place from the previous administration to undercut the Secretary of War and President Trump. And so he moved again. He moved on from them. George's firing stemmed in part of Hegseth's long-running grievance with the Army and its leadership. The Army, in some way, if you move the Marines out and the Air Force out, you got the Navy and the Army. Always been problematic. Always been clandestine, let's just say, read in some way, kind of like counterparts with the CIA and a lot of stuff. You always start to see a lot of this stuff. So the leadership has troubled relationship with Army Secretary Dan Driscoll, with 2 U.S. officials and a former official of NBC News. George and Driscoll have been allies. George's departure comes as Trump is fighting a war in Iran. No clear indication when the conflict will end. According to 3 U.S. officials, Hegseth fired 2 other Army generals Thursday, the Chief Chaplain's Major General William Green and Commanding General of the Army Transformation and Training Command. Hegseth had fired numerous officials during Trump's second term last year. He fired Air Force Lieutenant General Kurus, head of the Pentagon's Defense Intelligence Agency, and after initial assessment by the agency in June indicated the U.S. strikes on Iran nuclear facilities were less expansive than Trump has said. Yeah, I think that people are starting to get that there are a lot of people buried ticks inside the Pentagon. There's a lot of different moles inside that are operating outside. Let's just put it this way: various scenarios, Marshall. And we're going to move on because I'm going to go through a lot of videos in some way. Thank you, Hogleg71, for the cookie. Let's move on. I can't believe we went through this war, Joe Rogan and Theo Von. I got a bunch of this stuff. So you're now going to start to see the agitprop propagandists line up to attack Trump. But then you're going to start to see how the left reacts to Theo Von, who basically, I think, has a base conversation with this, and that he is placating to Theo Von's, let's just put it this way, uncomfortableness about everything. So the question is, you determine who's based and who's not. I don't think Joe Rogan is based. I think he has an agenda, and he's capitulating to his audience. I think Theo Von is totally based, but I got more. I digress.
What do you think is going to happen? You think we're going to be okay?
I hope so. Of course. I don't know.
Do you think about it?
I'm confused. I can't believe we went to this war. When we started bombing Iran, I was like, this can't be true.
And what about Lebanon now?
I know. Israel's invaded Lebanon. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, just fucking stop. Like, what do you need?
Well, they're trying to, supposedly, they're trying to stop the terrorists.
That's crazy, though, if you're the fucking terrorist. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to stop them, fucking stand in front of the fucking mirror and start there.
Okay. Your thoughts, Marshall. Then I'll play some more.
Well, Theo Von is kind of annoying me lately, too. I mean, the guy's supposed to be a comedian, apparently. And, I saw some things that he said. I'm like,
hold on, I got to take care of the dog.
I'll be right back. Go ahead. I would say Theo Von needs to just do what he does, but he needs to stick with his job. On the other hand, I would also say that it's just his opinion, and he is good at interviewing people. So I'll go along with that. I'll get that. Joe Rogan, he's a huge name. People follow him. We all know that. So, all you can do with that is just say, look, take it for what it is. He's a huge influencer, so to speak. And all you can do is just take it all with a grain of salt. Right. And that's all you got. I mean, play it out. I don't follow these guys. I don't sit here and watch them every day. I've always felt that the really big names don't really know what's really going on.
It's a good point. I mean, because, the funniest thing is, Tom's, I haven't talked to Tom in a while, and he sends me some of this stuff. And he says, what's your thoughts about this? So I look at these things that he sends me. I haven't talked to him, but he sends me these things, and he goes, if you want to break it down on your show and stuff, and I appreciate you covering there. I get my dog because my wife's out. I understand in some way. What I'm trying to say and suggest in some way, has Joe Rogan just basically capitulated, bend the knee? Has he gone off the reservation or stayed on the reservation and attacking Theo Von in some way? And I think Theo Von is much more, let's just say, righteous and honest about how he actually feels about this stuff. I agree with that. Whereas Joe Rogan is much more dubious and much more attached to his following and his financial backers and advertisement and divertisement, that he's giving him a hard time. Let me play this right now, and I'll show you.
Rogan is business first.
Yeah, I think
that's not a hit on him.
Yeah, that's an excellent illustration, and we'll continue on with that. I want to show you this because this comes from Don Luker, who puts this out there, and he says, Theo Von called out the U.S. government during Joe Rogan. Even our government obviously is not there to help people. The crazy part is we're working to pay taxes to keep them going. But listen to this, and I got more of this. Listen to what Rogan said.
It does not, obviously, is not here to help the people.
Obviously.
They've been compromised.
That's true.
So are there any rules against when people? But the crazy part is we are working to pay the taxes to keep them doing. It's like
I know,
and that starts to make you feel sick.
and they're not responsible for any of the fraud and waste.
Yeah.
Yes, Trump won. Hoglake says he's dealing with anxiety, depression, texting him Monday. Yeah, I understand that. I mean, he goes, I'm going to go through it. Do you mind if he asks what happened? What? I mean, there's more things. Celebritard's opinions. Doesn't anyone care? Well, I mean, it's not about that. We're not talking about actors and movie stars in some way. I don't care about those people. I mean, I just, I'm saying Theo Vaughn has a big platform. Joe Rogan has a platform. And you know what? I look at these people. Were never Trumpers to begin with. They were just conditionally okay and fine in some way to platform Trump because what they saw was a lot better than what they got from Kamala Harris and her team, or what they weren't willing to put up. And now that this conflict, this war, or whatever you want, has now propped up, they're doing everything they can to distance themselves because they believe in some way they've been lied to. I don't know who lied to them, who told them something in some way. President Trump was always here to protect America. And if everybody keeps missing the point in some way, because when we find out that those ballistic missiles almost reached their target in Diego Garcia, and we realized that in some way they had the capability to target long distant ranges from areas that they were able to send possibly nuclear material with on top of it, then we have a problem. I just don't think that people are able to process the reality of what we're seeing. They don't care. They're just basically in their mind fuck. President Trump lied to me. And it's all about me. It's all about this. Who did he lie to? How did he lie to you? I mean, I don't sit there and say he lied to me. I believe President Trump is doing what he can to protect us. And you know what? Part of it has to do with being daddy and not telling you everything because, the big bad voodoo daddy, the shadow people, let's put it this way, the ghost walkers, the skin walkers, there are things that go bump in the night. And I guarantee you would shit the bed. You would shit the bed. There's more than 20% of shit that this country cannot handle. But you want to attack him. And he hears it every day. He sees it every day. I would say 50% of this country would have a fucking heart attack and die. They would fucking kill themselves. They couldn't handle the truth. Whatever the truth is. Whatever perception management, whatever their truth is, whatever your truth is, whatever anything that you can see. You people are fucking entirely batshit crazy. Have no understanding of a reality. Yes, I understand. The problem is we've been lied to for a century, maybe longer. But there's more stuff that's relevant today than it's been in the last 25 years. Have you seen that? And you just want to throw it away. Let's just throw it away and pretend, hey, why didn't Biden and A.G. Garland drop all the Epstein stuff? But we want to give him 10 points up and all the thumbs up and say, yeah, man, thanks for helping out. But Bondi and the Transparency Act and all this other stuff, the Binder Gate, oh, she's got to go. I just don't know how inversely, conversely, and reflexively we look at things. Things are so upside down. She gave you what you wanted, but it wasn't enough. You want convictions. From who?
She gave her what
NDAs.
she was allowed.
She's only allowed to what, Marshall?
Give you the certain amount until the time is right to get these bastards. Believe
By
me,
who?
I think
By who?
it's
By who?
by what do you mean by who? By who?
Meaning Trump. He's the marionettist.
Yes.
He's the guy is saying,
Yes.
he is saying, this is what you're going to do.
He's
Don't
the
blame
director.
her. Blame Trump. Trump is the guy telling you, you're not going to get all this stuff. We're going to give it when it's on our time, when it's on our dime, when it's necessary. The fact is that all you people that attack her left and right. Again, the 14th month run as AG hits perfectly timed for a curtain call. And I stand by my dissertation about how I see this metaphorical stage acting presence of everything that has basically been, if you watch what I said or heard what I said from the beginning. Let's continue.
People are like, we'll elect the Democrats next time. It's like, but it's all the same shit has been happening forever. They haven't been helping anybody forever. They're letting fucking politicians slurp on kids. All of our fucking money goes to Israel and they're using it to fucking genocide people. It's like everybody is scared out of their wits right now. It's like our religious leaders are afraid to speak out. And it's like it's a time where it's like Satan is amongst us and our religious leaders are fucking talking about bullshit at the poll. It's just like, what is going? I don't know, man.
We got to get you off those antidepressants, son. You're losing your fucking marbles.
You think I am?
Come hang out with us. Just chill
I'm
out.
here. It's all.
What do you think about that? I'm not going to make a comment about that, so I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, Theo Von, he was addicted to a lot, whatever. He had an addiction problem.
Yeah.
And now he's off
cocaine and heroin.
Yeah, and now he's off of all that, which I give him credit for.
Right.
I think that Joe Rogan was a little bit shitty right there.
Yeah, I think he was.
You got to be shitty with the guy, man. I mean, he's probably done more. He's probably got more strength than you have, even though you're bigger than him.
Bingo.
So,
that's a good point. Excellent point. Excellent point. It's an excellent point. He is totally shitty with him, and I think he talks down to him, and I think it's embarrassing. And I was very uncomfortable.
Come hang out with us. What the fuck is that, man?
What does that
mean?
Do
what? What are you going to make me a fucking new person or something?
Well, exactly. What are you going to do? I mean, Joe Rogan don't drink anymore. He smokes cigars. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to this guy? I mean, the guy is feeling the way he feels. Okay? And I'm okay with that. I'm not saying that he might be completely off his rocker, but he doesn't know any better. That's what he personally sees.
He's not. I'm off my rocker. Sometimes, we all get off our. Come on, man.
I know. Okay. Here we go. Colorado Appeals Court overturns Tina Peters. I'll just say that. An election security breach. God bless. Here we go. Peters, 70, was found guilty in 2024 of orchestrating a security breach. Peter was sentenced to 9 years. A 77-page opinion. The appeals court panel said it reversed the sentence. So she will now go back to the original judge and either vacates her stay or says time served or what have you. But she's about to find herself outside of jail. And God bless her. And you know what? I cannot wait for President Trump to scoop her up, and she will become a material witness. I don't think you understand it. The feds will scoop her up. She'll go under certain edicts and protections. She'll become a material witness, and she'll go into hiding. I believe so. The tenure of the court's comments make clear that it felt that the sentence length was necessary, at least in part, to prevent from her continuing to espouse her views the court deemed damaging. See, they're basically selling you the truth that she uncovered would be damaging about the 2020 stolen election, especially in the state of Colorado and all the participants inside the state of Colorado. Marshall, your thoughts? I mean,
yeah, what they did to this woman is criminal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's criminal. And I hope these people pay for that, especially that. What's her Groswell.
Yeah.
American Vacation.
Griswold.
She's
American running for AG of Colorado. Can you believe that fucking shit? And there are all people coming out saying there's no way she's going to win.
Tell me for 1 minute that Colorado isn't just like Arizona that's owned by the cartels.
Oh, yeah.
Don't tell me they ain't owned by the cartels. Right. Denver's all fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard people tell me Denver used to be the place where everybody wore the furry boots, and the rich women and the hot women and all that shit. Cocaine and all. Now it's a dump.
Yep. And it's sad. So Tiger Woods says he was on the phone with President Trump when he was confronted by the police officer after crashing his car. Yeah, I was just talking to President Woods saying, let's play this. I have a problem with this. I do. I have a huge problem with this.
Mr. Woods. Get you to hang out down here with us, please.
Thank you so much. All right. You
Got it. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Was he going to take off running? The most famous guy? Come on.
Again?
Just keep you down here with us, please.
Yeah, I was just talking to the president. Trying to get away from everybody.
I was just talking to the president.
Not a bad look. Not a good look, man, doing that. I
No.
would have stayed away from saying
Using
anything.
that, I don't like that. at
Yeah,
all.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't have said anything.
I was just on the phone, kept it quiet.
Yeah, and I would have just
So-
hung up and got off.
to what he did last night.
And I'll just say this. Utilizing that in that scenario was very crass. What do I mean by that? I think he should have kept. If you're on the phone with the president of the United States, who happens to be your friend, you don't tell whoever anything as some type of superfluous, agitprop. I just find it very gaudy and disgusting. Oh, I'm using my friendship to tell the police, I'm on the phone with the president. What is that going to do for you? It's not going to look good. Private conversations should remain private, especially when you speak to a friend who happens to be the president of the United States. Not good at all. And I'll leave it at that. And I hope people can understand what I'm saying. Tiger Woods has a problem. He has a medical problem. He has a health problem. He's addicted to painkillers like many other people, and he needs help. Period at the end. And I'll leave it at that. And that's all I'll say.
And that's why I'll give him a little pass, because he's under the influence of this shit.
And the people that are prescribing him need to go to jail.
That's the worst part of it, Brett.
Yeah. Yes.
My old man never prescribed narcotics.
Right.
He was like, he avoided it like the plague. He was not into that. He was always looking for the natural. And I pray for the guy. I hope that Tiger Woods gets all right. He got
right. No, I understand. I understand that, but
I don't blame Trump for the car, driving his grandkids. I don't blame him a bit for that.
I'm just disgusted because I don't like.
He brought up, yeah.
Look, you don't hear Kid Rock is like, yeah, I just talk to the president all the time and stuff.
Yeah.
Anybody who's braggadocious like that in some way, Kid Rock doesn't do that and stuff. He drinks. He smokes cigars. I don't think he does drugs. At least he doesn't do it anymore. And he speaks out. He's like, but he says, I don't tell you when I talk to him. I don't tell you what we talk about. See, that's the right way to go about it. You know what I'm saying? If you have conversations with a friend who happens to be in a position of power, you fucking be mindful about that. You respect that. And you keep your mouth fucking shut. That's my attitude. And I don't like that. But Tiger Woods needs help. And I'll leave it at that. And that's all I'll say about that. Long time Democrat mayor exposes party. We lost the plot. We lost the plot, said Emmanuel, who previously said, this is, Emmanuel, Barack Obama's chief of staff, as we Democrats nationally from Latinx, fuck that shit. You're all going back to fucking your third world shithole countries, to defunding police. The police organization are all racist. Yep. No longer is that going to happen. Bringing a set of cultural wars to our schools. Yep. No longer that's going to happen. We are on the losing side of all these culture wars, full stop. Emmanuel argued that Democrats have shifted away from the issues that once defined the party. What defined the party? The party was what? Anti-American to begin with. Gay, filth, trans filth, anti-cop, anti-this. Ideological messaging from that voters increasingly reject. Are you kidding me? You're brainwashing students. You have 50% of kids that are not even reading at grade level. Anything a Democrat touches turns to what? Not gold, turns to shit. It's embarrassing in some way, but they know they're losing this battle. We're going to fast forward it right now. I got 15 minutes. I got to go forward with this stuff. So I'm not going to be asking for conversations or conclusions right now. Let's put it this way. We're going to get into everything that's going on with the moon stuff. Global updates deleted this picture of Earth because of how fake it looked. Okay. So here it is that this picture said this, Earth clearly shown like this. Look, I'm saying right now, I'm not a flat earther. I'm not at all. I don't believe the moon landing happened as it's been pretend. I don't give a fuck that. Here we go from Trusty Storm. Joe puts us out of a Q post that basically says, well, it happened, but it didn't happen on our time frame. So here's the point. This is the argument. You can discern how you wish and how I read Q. That's what I say. Q was asked 4 questions and gave 2 sentences. What I don't see here is Q saying Apollo 11 was real. Okay, that's a fair assessment, nor do my discernment. Now, there were missions that go up to 20, 18, 19, and 20 that were classified. And I have to believe in some way. What you saw during that time frame never happened. And I believe that's what is the vague assumption that is being percolated out. My personal take is Q sometimes vague, so you don't see it. Did NASA fake the moon landings? Have we been to the moon since then? Are there secret space programs? Of course they are. There are. That's why NASA exists. Is there why Space Force was created? False. Moon landings are real. Okay. Programs exist that are outside our public domain. What they're saying here right now, the moon landing that you saw never happened. Are there moon landings outside of that you'll never see, that you never heard about? 18, 19, and 20? Yes, I agree. Or operations outside of all that. It's quite plausible and possible. As I look into this in some way, there's a reason why the concept of secret space programs are so classified at higher levels outside the president of the United States, outside all these compartmentalized corporate type of scenarios in some way, that you're never going to get to the truth. I believe in some way, and in other ways, that a lot of these corporate entities already made their transition into another realm, into other things. Maybe in so that the United States government has no particular involvement of this in some way. Do you follow me? So a lot of the energy and discussions about all these other things are ex parte. They're not really, even though that we are partitioned into, look into, and to see, I don't really care. As for what I see right now, I don't believe it. I don't believe any of it, and I don't really care to believe it. I just don't care. It's not relevant at the moment. It doesn't matter. Okay? I think most likely whatever is that we prescribe that is there is already here and living amongst us as I continue on.
I think it's in the Arctic. I think that's where it's all at. Antarctic.
Okay. Well, do you got proof of that?
No, that's an opinion.
Okay, good.
I mean, just like this whole moon thing and all this.
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean,
that's
yeah.
their opinion.
My
They
point.
show me
The
videos.
people that have the moon thing opinion, and you got the Arctic thing. I'm more agreeable to you than the moon thing. Follow me?
Yeah.
I'm making a comparison that I agree with you more than.
Every time I see that rocket, it goes like this.
Right. It doesn't
I'm
mean
like-
that the moon isn't real or something is happening there, and other people that are there that we're not there. You know, people like to say that we're there. There's all these other things. We're there, or we have. Who is there? Have you ever thought and considered there's corporate entities that are involved in all these things, that are doing things outside the government's control, outside the facilitation of all the subsidies and all this stuff? And maybe they peer in and let people know what's happening. But I say I digress. And you know what? I just don't care anymore. I don't. Top Bishop sounds the alarm. We're on Good Friday. Warns of a mortal threat to civilization. Leading Catholic voice is raising the alarm about mortal threat facing humanity, warning that the Western civilization is at risk of a total collapse. Yeah. Bishop Robert Barron warns that America's accelerating abandonment of faith is not just a cultural shift, but a direct threat to the survival of Western civilization. Barron, speaking on the Will Cain Show, sounded the alarm over what he prescribed or described as a dangerous drift away from God, and that is having far-reaching consequences. What is the biggest threat to Western civilization? Host Will Cain asked, the loss of God. If we keep marginalizing God, Western civilizations will collapse. Yep. I mean, we all understand what that will be. I mean, it's Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, let's be clear about all of that. if you basically run away from God, you run away from his resurrection, you run away from all these preambles, okay? And understand why you're here and all the edicts and all the things that make you who you are, and then you ask for forgiveness and you want something better. My question is, what is it that you truly want? Because you're losing the faith argument if you run away from all these other stuff while you're trying to find sauce and gravy into other things that have no rationale. They have no rationale or reasoning. All right. It doesn't mean we shouldn't look for or out for, but I think in some way there is something that is made to be seen. This is part of my conversation tonight. Suffering is good for humanity. And I said there's going to be particulars that we're going to get into, but I just want to put this out there. Today, April 3rd, is the Good Friday, the solemn day when Christians are already remembering the suffering and crucifixion and the death of Jesus Christ. Now, roughly 2,000 years since Jesus made the ultimate sacrifice, humanity seems determined to avoid even mildly suffering, prioritizing comfort and convenience above all else. But at what cost? I ask you. Socrates is often credited with observing that life without experience and suffering is not life. I think that's an excellent point. His point is relevant today as it was in ancient Greece. The uncomfortable truth is that suffering, willingly embraced for a greater purpose, is critical to a meaningful life. And I will say this right now. I'm not going to go into this too much. That the gift of suffering and suffering well and how to stop avoiding what makes us stronger must continue on. The transformative bonds, the character, the brutal teacher, the raw materials of growth. Is it good or not? Are we supplied with the potentiality and wrestling an uncomfortable truth of human existence that selective and deceptive, inconvenient facts of suffering is part of the process and our maturation and our growth? I'll leave it at that. Let's face it, suffering is an inescapable part of life. Estimates indicate that at least 24% of Americans, more than 60 million people, suffer from chronic pain. I said about Tiger Woods and many other people. More than 23% of American adults have mental illness. I think that's a finite little number. The issues don't even begin to cover the extent which humans experience distress. Take St. Thomas More, who knew a thing or two about suffering after refusing to legitimize King Henry VIII's marriage to Anne Boleyn. Remember that and how that went when the king declared himself the supreme head of the Church of England in direct opposition to the Roman Catholic Church. More was imprisoned in the Tower of London in April 1534. He was convicted of treason and sentenced to death. Before he was beheaded, More penned a dialogue of comfort against tribulation, a book exploring suffering, temptation, and persecution. The discipline of suffering, a great suffering. Do not know that only this discipline has created all enhancements of man so far. That tension of the soul in unhappiness, which cultivates its strength, it shudders face to face with great ruin. Its intravenousness and courage in enduring, preserving, interpreting, and exploiting suffering and whatever has been granted to it of profundity, secret mask, spirit, cunning, greatness was not granted to it through suffering, but through different discipline of a great suffering. The argument is treating the art or as a discipline of suffering exercises the painful, let's just say, existence that we all go through about growth. And what I'm suggesting in some way is that Christ's death on the cross teaches us the most insufferable pain that one can go through at such a time, heretical at that moment, and that what he went through, what he sacrificed for, teaches us that every type of scenario in our lives must be in some way exhaustive through that pain. We must find in some way to reach a level of what he did to get a level of ascension that we can process, that we can ascertain, that we are alike in some way. Ask for redemption, ask for resolve, ask for the pain and the burden, but it's all equivalent. And I believe that every type of suffering that we go through is all through his own existence and death. And that is what we must journey through. Awesome.
Yeah, and it's very true. And it actually kind of touches on what Tiger Woods is going through.
Yeah.
You know, it goes right to
I don't want to
that.
harp on it, but yeah.
I mean, it kind of feeds into that. And
Yeah.
it's not just that. It's just the fact is this story, this write-up you just read,
Mhm.
it says that you've got to suffer to an extent before you realize that you've got to do something. You've got to change.
Mhm.
That you're, you know,
Change
it's
is
like
only possible with
the pain.
you know, with the suffering that you're going to have to go through, whether it's one thing or two things or a variety of things. You're going to have to go through a process that in some way that's going to demarcate not just your own physical and mental viabilities, but you're going to have to change in that process with that. And you'll only find change in that process as the pain gets harder, tougher, and difficult.
It's just like when an alcoholic hits. It's called hitting rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
When they hit, I've known people in my
Yeah.
life when I was younger that hit rock bottom. You know, they alcoholic or whatever. They end up living in their truck. They came from a great family, and all of a sudden they're doing crazy shit, and then they hit that bottom, and they crash the wall. Luckily, they're still alive because a lot of people don't make it through it. So that's a great article that you just read, man.
Yeah, I
It's
just
really
wanted to highlight that. I don't want to belabor a lot of stuff. I'll get through a lot more. I mean, I got a couple more things. Thank you, Holleg71. Gift of the cookie, Brett Yu. Can you elaborate what Brett Yu means? Are you saying me? Are you saying me? Darla, gift of the cookie. The freaking toilet wasn't working in the Artemis rocket rally. If it was me, I would have been like a dude, and I'm staying. And I'm saying that toilet don't work, and I'm out.
I don't believe any of that, man.
I mean,
I think it was.
Senior Polo, what's up? Dropping a can. Would you say dropping 717 gold pills? Need more gold pill love. Support the stream. Highlight dropping a cookie in a can. You're saying Brett, you highlight. Please elaborate.
Brett, you missed earlier in the chat.
Yeah,
I want to get. I got to
go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Senior Pollo, his son
Senior
got
Polo.
shot. Yeah, Pollo is anyway. His son got shot yesterday because
Holy
somebody
shit.
invaded his home. He got shot twice. He's in the hospital. He's doing all right. So you missed that part, and you commented on something. So I wanted to bring you up.
Oh my God, I'm sorry for.
And his
Is
son
he okay?
is okay. He's okay. I just wanted to be.
Did they arrest the guy? Did you shoot this motherfucker? I mean, what happened? Give us details. Is it in the links? I want to cover it. Send me an article. I want to cover it. You break into my house. Forget about me using my 9. I will. I've actually trained myself now to use a knife in ways that I never thought I could. And in some way, I will feel more gratitude using it than just shooting somebody in the fucking dome. I don't know why that is. I don't know. Maybe that's sick and twisted.
Shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's something more than that. I just
bow
think
and
because
arrow.
the
Remember,
culture we live in, exacting pain and justice and retribution, but I think it's much more than that. It's vigilantism.
Sure,
And I believe that I believe in vigilantism, and I believe that vigilantism has some form of exact pain and justice that equals retribution, and then you find some resolve with that where you will not find with the courts. I absolutely feel that way, and I believe that the more, let's just say, payback you do, the more comfort you feel. Whether it's equivalent to what God's rule is or not, you will face your justice one way or another. But my attitude is that for some people, it's not enough. It's not enough. And I'll digress on that. As I move forward, Jim Ferguson just didn't go missing. He vanished on purpose, channeling 9/11 audio from the wife of Neil McCaslin. This is all over the place. Is now public, and it changes everything. He must have planned not to be found. Let that sink in. This wasn't a confusion. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't deliberate. Listen to this stuff.
My name is Susan Wilkerson. My husband is missing.
Okay.
And it's been about 3 hours, and I have some indication that he must have planned not to be found. He's left his phone. He changed his clothes into I don't know what. I think he's on foot. All of our cars and bicycles are in the garage. I left for a doctor's appointment at about 11:10, and he was here at that time at the house. And I got back from that at noon, and he was gone. He turned it off and left it behind, which seems kind of deliberate because he's always got his phone. He has a smartwatch. I don't know if that's with him or not.
Has he ever done this before?
Never. Nothing even remotely like it. He's a retired Air Force Major General. He's very responsible, but he's also facing some medical issues.
Do you have any video at your home?
No.
Has he been diagnosed with any mental disorders or anything like that?
Well, we've been seeing a doc for both physical and mental in terms of anxiety.
How about he's under
short-term
fucking
memory
stress?
loss,
How about that
lack
one?
of sleep.
Yeah.
The same doc I went to see today.
Does he carry any weapons on him?
Well, not generally. He does have a gun safe, and I went to look in the gun safe to see if anything was missing, but I couldn't tell if anything was. He has quite a number of pistols and rifles, other than saying if his brain and body keep deteriorating.
Okay, I'll move on. I got more to go through. I'll answer your your point. Hi, like everyone, gifted a cookie brick. Can you reach out to Thomas? Thanks, prayers up. Thomas called me today. He's returning next week. He's okay. He's got his son. He's celebrating Easter. He's dealing with his issues, dealing with his family. I'll let him talk about that. He called me today. I haven't talked to him in a week. He called me. He texted me. He's doing okay, and just want to give you that. So people don't have to call me and rage on me and text me and leave all these crazy comments and stuff. I need a status update, Marshall. Can you give me a status update? Because I didn't know I was the fucking secretary to Thomas for True Reporting. But to answer your question, buddy, yeah, I know you're friends with him, and so am I. Yeah, he's good. I mean, he's going through stuff. He's got his kid, and he's working through it. He's returning next week. He wants me to do 2 shows with him. I will do 2 shows with him. He's got all these other things going on, but he will return. He's okay. I talked to him. He called me. I think he called me twice, but I only spoke to him once. I've been busy, and we've been playing tag. You're it. So that's it. And it's okay. It's okay. But do me a favor, everybody out there. He's going to be fine. Do me a favor out there. I am not the secretary for True Reporting. Okay, I'm not his whatever. I understand. Everybody is. I'm the only way that you know what's going on. He's good. I get it in some way. But you know what? Reach out to him. Find ways to reach out to him and not use me as a conduit in some way. Because I have people, reach out to me, call me, contact me. I have some people like say some crazy stuff to me, and I find it like disgusting, almost like embarrassing. It's like, really? I'm like, why are you watching my show the way you talk to me, or the way things I get messaging and stuff? Just, you want an update? Here's your update. I know everybody loves the guy. I love him too. I get it. But the bottom line is, he wants his quarter. He wants his little. He'll return. He just wants to have his own little spot to replenish himself, and just give him that. And when he returns, I'm sure that you'll be able to have your wonderful conversations with him. That's it. Okay, it's fair enough. All right. I got to move on. All right, listen to yeah, I'm behind. Let's play one more. This is Tim Burchett saying this about this guy, about the wife, saying this guy just dipped out. He just disappeared. Listen to this.
He's the guy that was had a lot of nuclear secrets and was allegedly the gatekeeper. And I've been told by several sources that he was the gatekeeper for the UFO stuff. And of course, his family says, "Oh, he didn't have anything to do with UFO." But these people are people of honor.
They didn't want to die either.
Yeah, and they don't tell their family. So their family isn't a target.
And Congressman, I understand there's others too, right? I was seeing that there's like a whole bunch of scientists that are also tied to some top secret stuff.
Yes, ma'am. The lady that disappeared, she had a lot to do with the metallurgy, the top secret metallurgy that we use in some of our missiles and stuff. I mean, it all just kind of fits together. And it's a very small fraternity. And when anytime one of them, something happens to one, the others take note of it. And I was briefed this past week, and I'll just say that that group is very nervous. They are very nervous about what's going on.
What's your thoughts about this? This is crazy, man. I mean, it's just like apparently there's a lot of different scientists and all these people missing that are connected to everything. And now we're seeing, with all the rockets that are flying up, it's crazy. And then all the other stuff, all the shadow stuff that is taking place. I don't understand why this is unfurling out right now. I mean, it's just fucking batshit crazy in some way that we're going through this. And again, this is an uncomfortable truth again, that I keep continuing, that I think that I'm saying is that we're not here or there with uncomfortable truths, ladies and gentlemen. We're not. We have a very, let's just say, untenable situation in the future. We're going to find out a lot of stuff that is completely uncomfortable and, let's just say, painful, that many people are not going to be able to deal with. One of them might be this, other than might be other stuff, but we're all focused on Iran. You got this fake space mission going on. I think that what's problematic is that the divertisement, the distraction, the multiple deceptions that are going on are weighing on people's, let's just say, shoulders, and they don't know how to react or see, and they're uncomfortable. And for the life of me, I'm starting to see people break in some way. And I don't know where they're breaking to. And I don't think they can handle it. And I'm starting to see that it's a lot bigger than we can realize. And how it's, I think, unfolding and unfurling out, matriculating. Let's hear this.
It's unraveling, Brett.
Yeah, it's all unraveling. Because if you can't get a hold of your own, EQ, emotional intelligence regarding this stuff, let's face it, we're going to find out that aliens are real. They're here. They're hibernating. They're integrating. They're having sex with all these other things. They're doing all these other things. There are things that are just really just going to get, you're going to throw up. You're going to get sick. You're going to vomit. Some people are just not going to deal with all these things. I'm sorry, Hogleg, that you felt like I was attacking you. I was not attacking you. I mean, I love you, brother. I was actually not pointing out to you. I was just getting annoyed that there's certain people contact me or call me or ask me, and they bother me all the time. And I'm like, why don't you just reach out to Tom? I mean, I just get so annoyed. I mean, Trump one knows, trusty term. I mean, it's like, I didn't know I was the Secretary General for Thomas the True Reporting. And I think that's all funny, but I mean, it's just like, it's not fair. It's not fair to me. Other people understand it. No Dog, the night sky, the position, the stars, the seasons, and how the stars circle around us. You can see the time with the elapsed video. Yeah, I digress. I go through the problematic scenarios regarding everything that we're seeing right now. There's so much deception management, not perception. I just don't buy anything anymore. Whether there were clandestine secret operations that are operating outside, our window in some way, you'll never know about it. They're never going to read you in and tell you about this. You're not going to get it from a FOIA request. I mean, that's the bottom line. And I think that's the unfortunate thing. But you are correct that many people right now are just completely they don't believe anything anymore. We have basically lost all reality, all sense of reality, because nothing is real. Nothing seems as real. And I don't know where we're going to go with this, Marshall.
Yeah, I think we got a different crowd living here. I don't think they came from anywhere outside.
Well, think about it. I mean, how many of these hybridizations are going to be part of our 14th Amendment if the Supreme Court rules in some way that we have alien species outside the human element that have been, let's just say, operating in some way? Forget about the illegal alien scenario. We're talking hybrid alien scenario. How is that going to play into all these things? And I was trying to say that. I mean,
I don't know if we have to set up a new constitution for them or what the fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That puts us in a kind of a dichotomy, kind of a little. What is that guy called? The guy on the cartoon, Kerfup, the guy that's Quagmire. Kind of puts us in a little quagmire there, Brett. That is funny to think about when you kind of look at it. It's kind of humorous, in a way. I'll just say that.
I'll leave you this. A guy I don't believe, I don't trust. I think he might be an alien himself. He was on Epstein Island. But here you go.
Good God.
Yeah. I mean, this is Dr. Greer. I'm not a big fan of him. He says, the war between advanced civilization and humans has been going on with humans as the bad guys. Okay.
And I will tell you, if this is disclosed improperly, it'll be 1,000 times worse than COVID. And I think that when you're talking about the fact we are being visited by advanced civilizations, they are not hostile. If they were hostile, we'd be gone. But we have approached them very hostilely. We have literally downed at least 1,000 or more of their spacecraft using illegal electromagnetic pulse weapons. And I know where they're being used and how they're being used. And we have captured those bodies, some living, some dead. And Mr. Gates was correct in saying that there are some gruesome programs being run by military where they've been trying to combine DNA of these creatures with humans, and they come out with these monstrous looking things that are used to abduct people. So everyone's here of alien abductions. It's not the extraterrestrials doing it. It's a covert human program. And we know this and we can prove it. So this is a huge story. It's the biggest scandal in the history of the United States in its founding. I think for our 250th anniversary, we should be liberated from the secrecy, and these extraordinary technologies that could benefit all of humanity need to begin to be looked at, to be brought out.
What do you think about that?
Your mic is off, but I heard what you said.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I apologize. I was just doing it. I apologize. Yeah, no.
Right.
So what do you think about that? I mean, I'm not a Dr. Greer fan. I'm not. I mean, he's not,
Everything he said in the very beginning, I don't want to. I don't buy into
Please. Yeah.
What he said at the very end was that they have technologies. They have technology.
Who is they? And who is they and we, and how we supplement these pronouns? And I mean, it's kind of like a little
when he
annoying,
says
right?
that whatever they are, I don't know. But I think that's the key part of that whole conversation is that the corporations in this country, in this world, they don't want all this information to come out.
No, it's all privatized. I mean, you think about all the energy and all the other stuff.
Everything we normally probably supposed to live 150 fucking years, Brad.
I mean, yes, I would say that the vast amounts of truth and information, energy, medicine, and stuff from a corporate scenario has all been privatized. It's under some type of privilege under them, and so there's no act that they can get to unrelease it and unfurl it out. It's all about them stowing it away, keeping it hidden, and there's no government entity or control that can open up this in some way. I mean, that's what I was trying to say to you, Hogleg, and if you want to be mad at me, I apologize to you, but what I'm trying to say is in some ways that, a lot of people reach out to me, make comments and stuff like that. And what I was saying is stuff, and it's not about you. is that look, you can make comments, you make questions and stuff like that, but I'm not here to be a subservient or to be an aggregator or somebody for Thomas. Reach out to him, talk to him, and that's why I get annoyed and I get so prepositioned about my feelings and I move away and I'm like, leave me the fuck alone, man. If you don't want to watch my show, you don't want to donate support, then go watch him and leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? Even he recognizes, like, he's like, why do these people bother you about that? Because they know, because I speak to him and I haven't spoken to him in a week and he's doing okay. He will reach out to all you people. He will be there and stuff. But again, I'm not his public response team in some way. Everybody asked me about that. And it really just bothers me in some way. I bet you if I disappeared for a month, no one would be asking about Thomas to me. How about that one? And I'll leave you with that. Any parting thoughts, my friend, as we drop this
Man,
out?
I'd be sending you Valentine cards, brother. Don't.
I know you would.
On,
I
man.
know.
Get
But
out.
you know what? You know what the interesting thing about all this in
It's
some
all
ways?
good, man. It's all good.
No, it is. You know what
Everything is going to work out.
The agitprop that is just continuing on. We got the divertisement with the moon thing. You got everything is happening in Iran. Everything is just so out of control, unbalanced, off the mark. The chaos is persistent and stuff. That leads me to believe that there's so many things that are happening behind the scenes. And now that Pam Bondi has moved off into a greater pasture for other things, and I think a positive thing, I think that you have not recognized what her position will be, and you have not recognized what is going on behind the scenes. I think people think, where they're clapping like seals and saying good riddance, thinking that Todd Blanche is going to give them any more than what she is, you're completely, let's just say, losing your mind. In fact, if you think Todd Blanche is going to be better than her, I can tell you right now, you completely lost your mind.
I think we turn a new chapter, though, which is
go
very
ahead.
good thing. With Pam Bondi being shifted over,
Yeah.
we've entered into a new
Something
chapter.
is happening. It's what
Not
I've
a
been
new
saying.
chapter. It's a new scene.
Yeah.
It's a new
Yeah.
scene to the show.
Good for you.
Kurt
You're
went down.
recognizing what I'm talking about.
Scene has moved to a next level. We're moving
Right,
on.
right,
The director, I call Trump. He's not the puppeteer.
right.
Trump is the director.
Yeah, he's orchestrating the stagecraft. He's doing all the illicit stuff, the auteur, the impresario. He is moving into positions and moving these pieces into place, off stage, on stage, in places that people do not see and relegate to. They just think, oh, I'm going to clap like this. She's gone. She ain't gone. She's going to be performed into another scenario. And I would suggest you recognize that and you realize that. Don't be all caught up on the fact is that just because you don't see her now doesn't mean she's not behind the scenes. And that is the point that I'm saying. The rotation itself, here's the key. Stop auditioning. And for all the people that are going to come up to play, stop auditioning or pretending that the roles were meant last forever. So everybody is now going to step up in place, has no idea of what they're about to, let's just say, encumber. I believe so. This is not an expansive thing. This is so covert and secretive and private. There are people that just may not want to be a part of something so out of control, so mind-boggling that they cannot handle. And I think in some way, that's why you move all these other selected people out of the way and stuff, continue on with the acting roles, and let's see what it plays out. But Pam Bondi wasn't fired. She was made to look like she was and beg for that role. She's now being put into a position that you have no idea. No idea. And how this helps out Trump in the future or for the administration, you are losing yourself in this guile. You completely have lost the idea of what we all were told about the mask, and the theatrical masterpiece. That's my thoughts, and I'll leave it at that. Have a good night. Happy Easter, everybody. May God bless you. May God bless your soul. Ask for forgiveness. Enjoy your times with your family. Thank you, Thea, for the 200 gold pills. Maybe Hogleg will come back to the fold. It's okay, bro. This is BS. I joined the Rise fucking We Are when Thomas took a break. Okay. It's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. One day you will see it. Ciao, Bella. Peace out. Be well. Take care.